Hello and welcome to the big picture. The much awaited response which had been promised by the government following the attack on Uri Army base on September 18th has happened. The Army has in a counter-terrorist operation conducted surgical strikes at various launch pads along the line of control, 7 of them apparently, to preempt infiltration of terrorists according to the Indian Army. The number of casualties have not been disclosed, though the Army said that significant casualties were caused to terrorists and those providing support to them. Meanwhile, Pakistan has reacted to the Indian claims by denying that any surgical strikes have taken place. The Pakistanis say that it was unprovoked cross-border firing from the Indian side, which was retaliated by them, in which 2 of its army men have been killed. The claims and counterclaims continued as the Indian government called an all-party meeting this evening to apprise the leaders of the situation. Meanwhile, a state of high alert has been sounded in border towns and villages in Punjab and Jammu and Kashmir, and evacuation of people is taking place, anticipating retaliation from Pakistan. We will discuss today the importance of the action of the Indian Army and its fallout. To discuss this, I have with me Vivek Katju, former ambassador, Brigadier Rumel Daiya, Deputy Director General, Institute of Defence Studies and Analysis, Prof.S.D.Muni, South Asia analyst and former professor at the JNU's Center for South Asian Studies, Vinod Sharma, political editor, Hindustan Times, and on the phone line from Karachi is Nusrat, Amin, senior journalist. Welcome to all of you. Brigadier Daiya, what kind of an operation was this?
I think this operation was a tactical surgical strike, choosing shallow targets across the line of control. From all accounts that have emerged so far from the briefing of the Director General of Military Operations and what has come out in the press, it seems that the Indian Army had developed information which gave indication that at certain launch pads there were some terrorists who had got collected or were in the process of getting collected for launching, for infiltrating across the line of control. Let me just give you a small little, for the benefit of our viewers, as to what a launch pad would be like.
What is a launch pad?
Yes. Now, launch pad is a place where the terrorists get together along with their handlers and guides and do the last minute preparations before they start moving towards the line of control to cross the fence and then go across.
This is something which is observed from across the border by our people?
Obviously not. Launch pads could be next to a military post of the Pakistani Army, oblique rangers. It could be in somebody's house. It could be a hut in the fields, or it could be just close to a village or somewhere. There is no permanent infrastructure or permanently designated infrastructure as such. However, experience has shown that they generally come in contact with the guides who normally belong to these villages which are just located across the line of control.
So we had intelligence all.
Obviously, either intelligence existed or keeping in mind a very large number of infiltration attempts that have been made in the recent past, about 40 attempts this year and good about 10 attempts in last 30 days or 35 days, that this information was developed further.
According to the DGMO in this briefing, he said 20 such infiltration attempts have taken place this year itself.
Foiled. Yes, 20. In fact, I mean, nobody can say exactly how many.
He says that. But what DGMO statement is 20 infiltration attempps.
Yes, but various reports suggest that good about 100 people tried to cross over. We managed to neutralize about 50 and 50 people.
No, he says that the DGMO says 20 infiltration attempts have also been foiled by the army or at or close to the line of control during this year, which means that such a thing has happened in the past also.
Such a thing has happened in the past. The intensity goes up or down.
What is so special about this today?
This year, I think the Pakistani...
Today, not this year, today.
Today.
Why so much of excitement here? Because if it has 20 such attempts have been foiled before, what is so special about today?
You know, normally what we have done is taken reactive or defensive actions. In this particular case, what we can say is preemptive, and somebody can call it active defense, wherein we had not let them come this side, but struck them at the launch pads. Technically speaking, we are striking in our own territory. POK is our own territory. But at the same time, we are not wanting to change the line of control by force. Definitely not at this stage.
Okay. Mr. Katju, so how do you look at this action of the Indian Army? And one second thing is, as Brigadier was pointing out, that the strike has taken place across the LOC. So we don't know, because the official spokesman has not, the DGMO has not mentioned whether Indian Army crossed, what kind of an action it was. So how do you look at this entire operation?
No, this is the first time when the Indian Army has conducted what is called a surgical strike. I think that is clearly understood to be qualitatively different from firing across the line of control, which takes place generally on Pakistani provocation.
Sir, I think that there is a problem with the audio. We'll get back to him. Nusrat, Amin, sitting in Pakistan, we have seen your government's reaction to it. We have seen various people in the government and in the army reacting to it. But this was something which India was forced to do. Would that be a fair account of what has happened? Amin? Okay, I think we have lost him also. Prof.S.D.Muni? So, this was some...
Can you hear me?
Yeah, okay. Yes, Amin, I can hear you. Please continue.
Okay. It's been long, Girish. How are you?
Yeah. Please tell me, this...
Okay.
If you have heard my question...
without going... I haven't heard your question properly.
No, my question is... No, please listen to the question. If my question is that Indian Army was forced to indulge in what it has done. So, but why is it that the Pakistan government is denying such an action has taken place?
Had it happened the way you people are mentioning, I guess there would have been more fierce reaction on part of Pakistan. What I can see here out of the reactions from different quarters, like the government and from the inter-services public relations, and out of all these reactions, the conclusion I have made in my mind is that Indian troops haven't entered Pakistani territory or Pakistani administered Kashmir, and it's just like any other incident in the past, like opening fire across the border from Indian administered Kashmir, and the bullets and shells and other explosive entering into Pakistani Kashmir and hitting the walls, hitting the people, hitting the houses, damaging to a major extent and killing a few ones. It's just the repetition that looks to me. It's just the repetition of what had been happening throughout the years, I guess.
Okay, so you don't think it's a very serious incident?
At least I am not convinced. I am not convinced to call it a surgical operation. We have overrated the meaning of surgical operation, what India had been pointing out.
Okay. Prof.S.D.Muni, two things. One, the pressure which was there in the Indian government to act, you think that is one of the major reasons why this has taken place. But it's very interesting to note the DGMO's statement, which says that it was actually to stop infiltration. They don't mention, except it is not necessarily that it was a counter to what happened in Uri.
Well, I think it is firstly right. You said that it is the internal compulsion, a great deal of internal political compulsion, and I would say particularly Pathankot followed very closely by Uri. Both Pathankot and Uri, I have personally been holding that it's something more than a terrorist attack, because they are exclusively on the defense establishments, armies, and no civilians were involved in these two attacks. So it is, in fact, technically speaking, it's not terrorism. It is actually undeclared war in one way or the other. And to that extent,
some kind of a surgical strike on its own.
well, yes, I said undeclared war. It depends upon how these people came in, how they. There is a big story about that. But the things which have happened, whether it is going to really deter Pakistan from what is being done or not, still questions hang in my mind.
No, sir, we will come to that a little later. We'll come, I think I got Vivek Katju back online. Mr. Katju, please continue. Can you hear me? Please continue.
No, what I was saying was that this is obviously a first and unprecedented step, and it's a major step. I doubt whether the Indian government could take the political risk of trying to convert a minor action into a major action and give it such publicity, also to inform all the political parties and the constitutional leadership of the country had it not been so. Now, the question is, why have the Pakistanis downplayed it?
Exactly.
Quite clearly, the Pakistanis have done so because they don't want it to become into a full-blown crisis. They realize that international opinion understands the justification that India has to undertake a strike. Indeed, if you ask international interlocutors, they wonder at Indian patience. And they were all through these decades, they have said, when will you start acting? And for the first time, I think we are showing that, look, enough is enough. And it is also good that this has been part of an overall package of steps which Mr. Modi has taken to examine the very premises of India's Pakistan policy. I think it was high time that we did so. So, the question now is, will Pakistan continue to show restraint, and if they act, how will they act? Because if they acknowledge that there was a surgical strike, they would be, the army leadership will be under tremendous pressure to act, and therefore they've taken the view that there has been nothing extraordinary. It's part of the routine and traditional exchange of fire across the LOC.
Okay, but
that is my understanding of Pakistani reaction.
Mr. Katju, you are mentioning international opinion. You are mentioning international opinion, and we have Brigadier Daiya here, and also the DGMO's press conference. It is not clear whether the Indian forces crossed the LOC to launch this operation, whether it was the operation took place. But we are told by sources that there was some kind of a crossing of the LOC and going across the border to conduct these surgical strikes. So what about the international opinion about crossing the LOC?
I think international opinion will be perfectly aware that such kind of actions are taken by countries who are facing the onslaught of terrorism for decades. And today, why international opinion that was asking India to show restraint because the Indians were the good boys and it is the good boys that are always pressurized. Today, the pressure will be on Pakistan to tell them that, look, you've played around with India for a too long a time, and if Indians are responding, it is not unnatural, and that you better now behave. You are nuclear, you are a nuclear power. You can't use the nuclear umbrella to launch cross-border terrorist attacks year after year after year and not expect that the patience of the other side will not run out.
Okay. Yes, Prof.S.D.Muni.
This international opinion will perfectly understand this.
I don't know if international community is going to give lessons to Pakistan. My feeling is that the international community will tell both the sides to keep restraint. And I have a feeling that both the sides are also trying their best to keep restraint. And that is where the whole Pakistani explanation of the incident lies in. Because,
Sir, we'll come to that aspect. No, we are still looking at the actual incident itself. We'll come to that.
Public statements
Sir,
will
we'll come.
be
Sir,
that
I'll come
both
to you,
sides
sir.
must show restraint.
No, let me get.
But behind the scenes, the pressure will be on Pakistan.
Mr. Katju, let me get Mr. Vinod Sharma and Vinod, looking at the operation itself, it says that it was a counter-terrorist operation. It was, significant casualties to terrorists and those providing support to them. Pakistan says that 2 of its army men have been killed. So does it imply that Pakistani army was also under attack by the surgical strikes?
No, I don't think so, because if you hear what the DGMO said, regardless of whether it was a terrorist strike or whether it was a raid and retreat,
not a surgical strike.
Surgical strike or a raid or a retreat. These are, one can have his own definition. I feel that it was a raid and a retreat because the folklore image of a surgical strike is Abbottabad or Entebbe or whatever. This is not that kind of a surgical strike. Yes, of course, there was a target, and those targets were, as per our version, were taken out. But mind you, the DGMO also said that the details of what we did there were conveyed to the Pakistani DGMO.
That's a very interesting thing, actually.
There was a clear
Why
attempt,
was the need? Where was the need
there
to
was a
convey?
clear attempt to distinguish the Pakistani army and its installation from the terrorists that we took out. Also, there was a regular, I think, exchange happening since last night between the US NSA, Susan Rice, and our National Security Advisor. So obviously, we tipped off or we briefed the United States on what we were about to do or what we had done. I don't know at what stage did we brief them, but surely there was connect. So, on the diplomatic front, this operation seemed to be, I think, fairly organized by our government, properly organized, in order to stall any popular blowback, blowback in defense of Pakistan, or that India was being aggressive and that it violated the line of control. There was a ceasefire there. I mean, only notional ceasefire, because there have been repeated skirmishes. There is also this view that these kind of operations have been undertaken in the past covertly without being demonstrative about them. Okay.
So where was the need to demonstrate this time?
The distinction now is that government has done it, the army has done it, and the government is demonstrative about it. And the demonstrative part perhaps can be explained by the need to address the outrage which was there within India after the attack on our soldiers in Uri and the killing of 18 soldiers on our side of Kashmir. So I think that without getting into the business of it being the unprecedented first, or it was a great surgical strike, which will go down in the history of warfare for all times to come. It was one of those raids which was carried out by our army very efficiently. And you see, the Pakistan side, though it is in denial, they, in the first statement, said that there was an exchange of fire and they gave three, four spots, 3-4 spots. So they want to call it an exchange of fire.
It's a cross-border fire.
Because obviously, as in the case of Uri, our army was found to be a bit inept in safeguarding the camp, They have been found inept in safeguarding the people they were trying to launch, So obviously, they will be in a state of denial. That happens between two countries. But I think a good message is gone to at least the patrons of those who come into our side and cause mayhem.
Okay, Brigadier, DGMO saying that he briefed the DGMO of Pakistan. Is it usual whenever such kind of operations take place that DGMOs brief the other DGMO?
Whenever there is a ceasefire violation at a larger scale, it happened last year when there were, when our Prime Minister and Defence Minister had to say that respond very strongly to any ceasefire violations. That time they used to talk very often.
So of course, is it an admission that we have violated the ceasefire?
No, it's not that. What basically it means is to tell them that we want, in fact, if you read his full statement, he also says that we want Pakistani army
to help us
in beating terrorism.
Right.
So there is a hope in his
We expect
message.
the Pakistani army to cooperate with us to erase the menace of terrorism.
Exactly, that's what it is. And this message is aimed at Pakistani army,
No,
Pakistani people.
One second thing is what Vinod pointed out, which means that if our DGMO was briefing their DGMO, then the Pakistani army's involvement or lack of involvement is there a clarity?
Yes,
there?
absolutely. I mean, there is no doubt about it. Pakistanis know it very well, denial notwithstanding, that they are involved with, they are sponsoring people, they are the guides. Let me also tell you, having,
So was
having,
our
having worked,
DGMO telling their DGMO that, look, we have done this, your army was there and non-state actors or whatever they call it.
see, there are a few things which will never be known. First, if Pakistani Prime Minister says that Indian forces came across, killed 2 of our people and 9 are injured.
He's
He said,
not
Prime Minister
saying
said
that we
this.
came
If you
across.
read The Nation,
Yes.
it says the Prime Minister said this. Defense Minister also said something and then retracted his words. ISPR says, no, it was exchange of fire. So there is a great amount of confusion over there, which by itself suggests that there was something. Second thing is about the soldiers getting killed. I suspect that maybe 1 or 2 of these launch pads were very close to their posts. And or alternatively, as it is often the truth, that Pakistani soldiers or ISI people were there at the launch pad itself, which they are there before these terrorists launched from there. So this clearly shows their complicity in this whole project.
Yes, Prof.S.D.Muni.
No, I said I was trying to react that why DGMO briefed the Pakistani side. Also, not to let retaliation take place, because this amounts to taking Pakistani army into confidence and saying that, look, we are having a counter-terrorist attack. We are not having an attack across the line of control, and therefore it is not a kind of either violation of the 2004 understanding or deterring, at least technically, the Pakistani army from doing anything in retaliation.
Okay.
Or they are trying to prevent escalation
Yes.
at the military level between the 2 countries, which is a wise thing to do. And in that context, if the Pakistanis are taking their own ruse or giving their own explanation to avoid escalation, I think it should be welcomed, because nobody wants a clear conflagration across the border.
That's right. Okay, let me get Mr. Katju. Mr. Katju, if there is this kind of a effort on part of Pakistan to underplay this, saying that it was not there was no crossing over of the LOC by the Indian forces or whatever, but what about the pressure which is going to come on Pakistan now? Because the way this has been played up in India, we are told by the DGMO that 20 such infiltrations have taken place in this year itself. But this is the first infiltration where it has gone. It has been blown up. So wouldn't that put pressure on Pakistan and Pakistan government and Pakistan army?
A couple of points. I think it is to ensure that there is no such pressure on the Pakistan army, that they have taken the position that there has only been cross-border firing to which they have responded. But the fact is that it is unprecedented, notwithstanding whatever Vinod Sharma may say. Unprecedented not because of the action alone, because I do not know when 7 launch pads, as is been reported, were dealt with at the same time, but also because of the publicity given to it. Now
exactly
the
the point I'm
publicity
making.
given
What I'm saying.
is very significant, because it is a, let me complete, Vinod, please, because it is a clear signal of will. A covert action is a signal which is sent covertly to the adversary. But when you take it up at the public level, then of course there is an element of responding to your own public pressures. But it is also a signal to the international community and a signal to the adversary, in this case Pakistan, that look, we are not shy of going public and not shy of an escalation, even though we do not want an escalation. And that is why the approach to the DGMO, telling him that I have done what I have done, now I don't want it to escalate, but should you want to respond and escalate, we are prepared.
Okay.
I think the message is clear.
Okay. Nusrat, okay,
we
Nusrat
will no
Amin,
longer follow
Nusrat Amin,
the
is that
old paradigm, a new paradigm may
is
come
it
into play.
is it very clear in Pakistan from what you said and what we are reading from there that Pakistan doesn't want to escalate this further?
No, I mean, I didn't say this that Pakistan will not try to get it escalated. I think whatever has happened today will have to have its consequence. I don't know where. I don't know. Would it be on LOC or elsewhere? I don't know. I have no idea. But given the capacity and capabilities and being very much here in Pakistan, studying these things to some extent, to a modest level, I would suggest that these things have always had their consequence. I don't know where, but always they did have, and they will have.
Okay.
I'm sure about it.
Okay.
What I want to suggest here in the conclusion that I think there have been some developments in the region, especially in Pakistan, like China's involvement in mega projects in Balochistan like CPEC, and also Pakistan developing ties with Russia. I think India is badly irritated by this, and for what adds to their frustration, I'm not saying India, I'm sorry, not India, Modi's government.
Okay.
What is making Modi's government more frustrated is the failure in finding out the actual hands behind Gurdaspur, behind Uri, and behind Pathankot.
Okay, that's your point of view, Prof.S.D.Muni. How will these attacks be seen in Kashmir?
Well, I think in a way the internal issue in
The
Kashmir
surgical strike, the response of the Indian government, the surgical strikes, will this have a positive effect on what's happening in Kashmir?
Well, this would have a sobering effect on the Kashmir situation in one way or the other. There are people who would not quite appreciate what has happened, but at the same time, generally the message would be clear that the government wants to deal it with tough hand, whether right or wrong, and this is where this aspect is extremely important.
Okay, Brigadier, you think that this is a one-time operation, or you think that this is just a sample of what can come?
Okay, irrespective of whether Pakistan today wants to play it down, the actual number of casualties and the way
we will get to know eventually what has happened.
We will get to know, but Pakistan already knows it. They would have it carried out, their stock taking in the meantime. And obviously, knowing the Pakistani army's mindset for a long time, and I've been deployed against them a number of times, I know that they would be planning something or the other by way of border action teams or by way of some kind of a inhuman thing like cutting off head of an isolated soldier somewhere sitting on in an ambush or something like that. They will try and do that. But I think the message must be very clear to them that look, patience also, like courage, like anything else, wears out at some stage. Even a saint gets angry at some stage. India is a functioning state, democracy. It may have larger patience, more patience, but not unlimited.
Okay.
So if they do something, they should also be prepared to pay the costs for that.
Okay.
No, I just
very quickly, sir.
Yeah, very quickly I wanted to say, this is in a way calling the bluff off, because
that is what I'm. Has this resulted in calling the Pakistan bluff?
Well, this is in that direction, because even now, just a minute, even now the reaction from Pakistan was we don't think it is a serious matter, otherwise we would have done this and that. This otherwise, that we will escalate, even go to the nuclear level, is an argument we are hearing for last so many years.
Okay, Vinod, very quickly. So, has this sent the clear message which was supposed to be sent to Pakistan, and will this see some kind of a de-escalation as far as terror funding or terror,
See, I've always held that, I've always held that, and I haven't seen that inhospitable terrain, from both sides, from this side and that side. I've always held that is not a place where people go and do kirtan and bhajan. Our Faujis don't do that. And our Faujis do retaliate. But what I am saying is that this is an unprecedented first where an operation has been carried out and has been overtly claimed, both politically and militarily.
Okay.
Now, my only worry is that there is a situation ripe for elements within Pakistan enjoying the patronage of Pakistani establishment whose objective is to bring these countries to regular Clausewitzian in war.
Okay.
Now,
No,
if
I don't have time.
terror-
Sorry, Vinod.
No, if there is a terror attack next
wait.
time, what shall be our response?
No,
we
we'll
should mull over that.
Okay, I think on that note we need to end. You know, it is a day when a lot of the government is getting a lot of credit for what it had promised and it has done. But we'll wait and watch what will be the actual fallout of this in the coming days and weeks. Thanks to all my guests. Please keep watching. We'll come back with answers in the big picture at the same time.